So welcome back to the Size Up. This is going to be episode 4, and things are a little different, I guess, in life these days, right? Everybody's life is definitely different right now as we're dealing with COVID-19, the global pandemic. And if we have the video of this up yet, we're doing something different now. So I'm doing this on Zoom. I am not at the National Fire Radio Studios. I am in my office. You can kind of see I have some cool fire memorabilia and 555 stuff behind me. Also a Cobra Commander for President picture on the wall because I thought it was cool. But we're trying this with Zoom, so it's going to be a little different. The audio quality may be a little different. And one of the things when we started the Size Up was we always wanted to do live interviews with our guests, but right now we can't do that. So we took a few weeks with National Fire Radio off just to kind of readjust. You know, this has definitely been a stressful few weeks for everyone. You guys know that I'm a career firefighter. You know, work is obviously very different than it was a month ago or so. Most people don't know that my wife works in healthcare. She is a physician assistant, and she is going to work every day and on the front lines even more than I am. You know, to see her donning PPE now when it's normally me that she sees doing that, it's just been an interesting thing. So life has been interesting. You know, the Size Up social media, I had plans for that. That's not really working well yet, but I'm starting to get back in a groove. I have the boys home, the mini Pips. I'm homeschooling. You can check out hashtag Professor Pip to see my daily lessons that are going on. It's very interesting to do it. And we're going to get through this together. What I do think is kind of cool, though, is if this Zoom thing does work out, I have people that we wanted to interview for the Size Up internationally even. And now, instead of waiting for them to come to New Jersey, we can do it this way. So hopefully we'll be able to crank out some more episodes and get this thing rolling, you know. As always, if you guys have ideas for episodes or guests or anybody, feel free to send them to us. You can message us on Instagram is probably the best way to do it. And get them in that way, because I can do this from my house. Hopefully it works. We'll see. So we just put out episode 3 with Amy Freeze. And in that episode, she spoke about this awesome dude who ran around Central Park a boatload of times to raise money for charity. And we're going to talk a lot about that today with my guest, Eric Gelber. So Eric, welcome to the Size Up.
What's up, Pip? Thanks for having me.
No worries. Now, a little thing that was was unknown to anyone else but myself and Eric. Today, we were actually supposed to record live in the studio in Jersey. And when we initially set this up, Eric said that he had Pearl Jam tickets for the night before in Baltimore he was trying to get, which is now canceled. So unfortunately, you couldn't see Pearl Jam, but you get to see me today. So that still works, right?
Second best.
I'm hoping, you know, I'm surprised Pearl Jam isn't doing a concert though. You know, we watched Dropkick Murphys the other night, and now Metallica's out every Monday. I see Bare Naked Ladies is doing something every day. So hopefully Pearl Jam will jump in.
I was hoping they would do something. They've been, Eddie's wife, Jill, has been promoting this band. I think they're called the Black Circles, and they're a Pearl Jam cover band. They're pretty good actually. And they've been doing like Instagram live concerts. But yeah, I'd love to see Pearl Jam do something. That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty cool. But I'll have to check them out, the Black Circles. I'm going to write that one down because it's cool when a band is promoting their cover band, you know, right? Like they got to be pretty good then to be able to do that.
You're pretty good.
So awesome, man. So for the listeners who may not know anything about you, you know, aside from what I just said there, let's give us a little background on you, Eric.
Background. So, I mean, generally, I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have 3 kids, and 2 in college, and then I've got a 4th grade daughter.
Oh, so you're homeschooling too, then, aren't you?
We are. She's actually been pretty good, though. She's been really self-sufficient with that. She gets up, she runs. It's the first thing she does. She gets up, she runs right to her computer. You know, sees if her coursework has been, you know, distributed yet. She just wants to get it done, and you know, and then whatever, do whatever.
My 4th grader is the same way. My first grader, not so much. It's more like my 4th grader when it comes to school is more like his mother. My 1st grader when it comes to school is more like his father. And
Yes,
I,
I have one like me.
I,
And I have two.
so are your boys home from college then, I guess?
We're home from college, so I had one at Lehigh and one at Delaware. They both came home. I guess it's 2 weeks ago today. And yeah, so Jared started his coursework like a week and a half ago, and Kyle starts his Monday.
It's
So
rough. It's a
yeah,
whole new world here for that. So
a whole new world. I feel terrible for them. I mean,
yeah.
and all the college students, right? I mean, just not to be, imagine it's your freshman year, your senior year, especially.
Yep,
Right?
and now you're
First
back home
class.
with your parents. The guy who lives across the street from me has 3 daughters all in college, and he was so excited because he had the house to himself this year. And I saw him the other day, and I'm like, "How's it going?" He's like, "There's too many girls in my house, man. I gotta go."
Yeah. No, this is whatever. It's none of us have ever seen anything like it, and hopefully we never do again. But we'll all get through it. We just gotta whatever.
That's
Just
it, man. We just got to adapt,
make
right?
ourselves.
That's it, right? And even go ahead. So tell us a little bit more about yourself before we really get into this, because then I won't know anything
Okay,
except you're a
so
dude and you have a family.
yeah. Anyway, and the reason that you and I were introduced was through the story that Amy was telling you on your last podcast, and so I started to run back in 2006 to train for the 2007 New York City Marathon. And I was doing that to raise a few dollars for the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation. And that was in support of a family friend of ours who had this rare blood cancer called multiple myeloma, which has no cure. And so, I just wanted to do something to support her. So I ran the New York City Marathon. I think we raised a few $1,000s. And when I was done, I gave her the medal from that run. And she used to tell me she would wear it in her chemo treatments.
That's awesome.
And, tell me how much it means. And she's like, she would tell me that when I run, she could feel the medicine going right into her veins, stuff like that. So when I knew how much all of this meant to her, I'm like, all right, I'm going to just keep running and see if I can raise a little more the next year. I'll fast forward a bit because it ended up being over 10 years of running.
That's a lot of running. It's a lot of miles.
Running. I got into ultra marathons, and what I learned very quickly is, the harder I was willing to work and the more, the further I ran in different events, the more money people seemed to give. So I decided to start coming up with some solo ideas. And I had applied to Badwater back in 2011. I did not get in, 2000, I'm blanking on my year. Yeah, 2011. And I didn't get in. So I decided to run from my friend's house in Oneonta. I don't know if you know where that is, upstate New York.
Yep, upstate New York.
And end up at my parents' house in Suffern, New York. So that was 155 miles.
Oof.
When I got to the end of that run, there were probably 50 or 60 people at my parents' house cheering me on. There was a local reporter. We had raised probably like 35 grand or something like that. And, I was talking to my wife after. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I literally just ran through the middle of nowhere. Like, other than my crew that was with us.
It's literally the middle of nowhere.
Literally. I mean, just through the Catskills. We didn't see anybody. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. But we still raised, 35 grand. There was a reporter. I'm like, what if we come up with an idea where we're doing this, like, in a really central place that's heavily populated? And that's when the idea for the Central Park run came about. It took us 2 years to plan it. I did run Badwater the following year in 2012. And then 2013 was our first year running this event, if you want to call it that. I mean, it's just me running,
You had some other people there.
No, yes, but I'm the only one running
that much, yeah. So how far is Badwater?
Badwater is 135 miles.
And that's through the Mojave Desert, right?
Yeah, it's in Death Valley, and it's in July. So it's the hottest place on Earth during the hottest time of the year. Oh, and temperatures, I think the record there is it's over 130 degrees. The hottest it ever got when I ran the race was about 115, which is, I mean, it's still,
115. I just run 135 miles,
It's it's hot, man. And the heat radiating off the pavement is like 180 or something.
Oh my God. I
Um,
couldn't do it.
it's brutal. The climbs are just torturously long. But it's whatever. It's a special race.
And it really is. And I think there's a few documentaries out about that as well. People doing bad water that I've seen, or at least stuff on YouTube for sure.
Yeah, when I first got interested in the movie or in the that race, I had seen Running on the Sun.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, and I think that was one of, if not the original documentary. It's way back, but I was like, oh, this.
Plenty of time now to watch it.
At the time, like my goal when I first started running, my goal was to qualify for the Boston Marathon, and then I got into ultras, and my goal was to qualify and get in through the lottery to Western States, and then
Okay.
and then I saw Running on the Sun. I'm like, no, that's what I want to do.
I need to do this
That's
for
way
sure.
worse than any of those other things.
So prior to 2006, what, were you an athlete? Were you in shape? Did you just decide to start running a 5K one day, like, and it turned into this, or?
So I guess I was always athletic growing up. Um, Played some sports in high school, some baseball, some hockey, but I was never very good at anything. But I like to, run around and play sports and, like that. But in 2000, oh, by the way, so I started smoking cigarettes when I was 14 years old. And so
Kids don't do that.
you don't do that. It's not smart. And my daughter always reminds me how stupid I was. She's
Good for her.
Yeah, it's great. It's fine. But so by the time I was an adult, I was a 2-pack a day smoker. I mean, I could barely, walk up a flight of stairs without getting out of breath. I mean, I was still young, so I go out and play softball and whatever. But um, when my when my first son was born, a couple months before he was born, I was the first time I tried to quit, and that was in '99. It took me until 2006
To finally
to
quit.
finally actually quit. But anyway, so the answer to your question is, I mean, I was doing things that were contradictory to being athletic,
Yep.
while still trying to get out there and do some of these things. So 2001, I ran a marathon, ran New York, and that was basically a drunken conversation with a friend. It was probably 2 o'clock in the morning. We were drinking scotch, and
That's the way to start.
yeah, and he told me that he had signed up for the marathon. I was like, you can't do that without me.
I can do that. It's only 26 miles.
That's it. And I had never run, more than a few miles
Yep.
in my life. So anyway, I signed up for that, ran that in 2001. And then after that, didn't do much for a couple of years. I got divorced a couple of years after that. Actually, it was a year after that. And so kind of things in my life just were a little chaotic.
Yep.
But when things started to kind of come around again, I started doing some adventure races with my cousin. And I don't know if you've heard of these things, but essentially they were kind of like Spartan races,
Okay.
but many years ago. And they were set up kind of like a triathlon. So there were three main disciplines, if you will. And these are all off-road. So the running was trail running, the biking was mountain biking, and instead of swimming, they did kayaking.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a fun time.
And then in between each event, they had what they called special tests, kind of like in Spartan, where you have these things to do. So
Okay.
it could be a mental test where you had to do a puzzle, or it could be a physical test, whatever, climbing over some wall or some obstacle course, or shoot a ball.
It's like the birth of Spartan. You know what I mean? It sounds like,
And
right?
it was a Balance Bar sponsored event. They were a ton of fun. So I did a bunch of those things, but I was never really serious about any of this until I started running in '06, and that's when it just really got crazy.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it's I've heard the story a lot talking to a lot of different runners and things like that. Like once the bug bites you, you're in. And I did distance running. I don't even know how many years I ran. Maybe or 9 years, where I was just running. I was doing other stuff, but I was really running
So you,
all the time.
yeah,
But never anything more than 26.2.
okay.
That's
Hey,
I,
all you got to do is like run a few more steps and you're in.
no, I didn't want to run a few more steps after that. I didn't want to. So I did the Disney marathon and it snowed,
Oh,
and my wife found me like in the family meetup area, like huddled next to a pole with the Mylar thing around me, shivering.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah. My sister was with her. My sister was so afraid. Like my sister is an educator. So
okay.
like nothing to do with emergency services medicine. My wife looked at me and knew I was in bad shape, but not horrible. But like I just remember the fear of like in my sister's eyes and panic of like, is he going to be able to get up? Like, how are we going to get him back to the hotel after this? Because it was just it was like 19 degrees when we started in Orlando. And I
Yeah,
think it got up to like 22.
that's cool.
I was horrible. Like, and even I didn't have the right gear, but even if I had the right gear, it didn't matter, man. Once my mind was gone at like mile 18, I was done.
Yeah,
Um,
when you lose your mind, it's really hard to stay committed.
yeah, and that's a huge part of it. I did a triathlon too, and the swim just ate me alive. And I don't remember like the first 2 or 3 miles on the bike, like, because my mind was just gone.
So gone.
And
Yeah.
I think when we think about an endurance athlete like what you've done, like how much of that do you think is mental over physical, like 50-50 or?
It to me, it's once you have the physical part down, I think a lot of it depends on your experience level too. You
Okay.
know, and when we get into the story a little bit more, you'll know what I'm talking about. Because when I first started running, I mean, I was so committed and focused on my training program that like
Every day tick
I
it
didn't
off.
miss a day. I did exactly what I was scheduled to do, right? And the way I was supposed to do it. I mean, you have bad days and good days, but
Yeah.
I wasn't going to miss any mileage at all.
Wow, you're a
And
coach's dream.
yeah, well, but I didn't have any coaches on that. But, um, I would just pull programs. I'd read books,
Yep.
watch movies, and talk to other runners, and just learn that way about everything. Nutrition while running, training programs, all that kind of stuff. Um, so, I forget what the hell I was saying. Um,
Talking
happens,
about being dedicated
it
and
happens sometimes.
I got you.
Yeah, just but as I gained more experience, and when I started doing the solo runs in particular, I cared less about time. I wasn't racing. I wasn't trying to do anything except for raise money and just go for a really long time.
Yep.
So it didn't matter what pace I was going at. But I realized that I don't have to beat the shit out of myself like as much as I was. At the peak, I'd be running 90 miles a week, which for an ultra runner, that's not a lot.
No, but for a normal person, that's like,
For me, it's a lot. And that would, every Saturday and Sunday, I would be out there running for 6 hours each day,
man.
right? So I'd put in, whatever, 70 miles on a weekend.
Yep.
And it was, I mean, it was just brutal. And over the years, it just really beat me up. So I started to scale it back, and still committed, but I became more confident in my mind. And I knew I'm still going to be in really good shape, but I don't have to beat myself up like that. So I would still work out for 6 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday, but I would go and run 20 miles, not 35.
Yep.
Right? So, or 15. And then I go to the gym for a couple hours and get on the stairs or ride a bike or take an endurance class or, just do whatever, just do other things.
Yeah, I think it's what we're seeing now, and I see you doing it on your Instagram page, and we'll definitely get into that end after the story. But where people get these ideas in their head about fitness or about running or about anything that it has to be this. If you're not going to run a marathon, why run? Well, that's not the best way to think about something like that. Go run, because if you can get outside for a mile or two a day, it's better than not. You know what I mean? Like I tell people all the time, if you have a set of stairs, you can do the best workout in the world with one staircase.
That's right.
You don't need anything else. And now with with global gyms being closed, or I shouldn't say global gyms, all gyms being shut down nationwide. I mean, everyone is working out at home, and they're starting to realize that do enough burpees in a day and you're going to get in really good shape, and it's going to suck.
Perfect, man.
So we'll get into your IG. Let's
Okay.
stay on top. I want to try to stay on topic and talk about the documentary first, and then we can
Sure.
get into all our other things. But so you decided to do this in Central Park because Central Place, better place to raise money.
Yep.
So what was the plan for this?
So the first year, the idea was 48 hours in Central Park, and my goal was to run 200 miles in that 48 hours. But of course, more than that. I mean, this is a fundraiser. So what I was really hoping is that we get picked up by some news channel, right, that would hear about this, and then it would just blow up, and people would come out and run with me and donate and all that stuff. And I try to remember what our goal was that year. I want to say it was 100 grand is what we wanted to raise. And I think the most we had ever raised in a year before that was like 40.
Okay.
But that's just,
Which is still good numbers. Like, I'm in the not-for-profit world. Listen, your numbers are huge.
And I get that, and I don't mean to downplay it at all. I mean, for anyone to go out, and raise $5,000 or $1,000, like, people don't realize how hard it is to raise money. And I get a lot of, text messages or, private messages, whatever, on Facebook and stuff like that. People track me down and they want to know how to, how do you raise all that money?
I'd like to know if you have that, you can private message me for
magic, magic juice.
I just need to get a guy to run around Central Park a boatload of times.
Yeah, well, a lot of times too, it might be somebody who's lives in a place that's not as, populated as New York.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't have these big corporations. I get a lot of, donations from, very wealthy individuals, right, who are in my business community, and the real estate community in New York is extremely generous. And then I do have a couple of corporate sponsors, so that have, picked up on this, and they participated in the film and all of that stuff. So you got to you got to work hard, but you got to get a little lucky too.
Yeah, I was definitely, listen, so 555 is in its 6th year. And when we started it, we still know nothing about running a not-for-profit. You know what I mean? We're all firefighters that just want to make people healthier. And you learn things about the not-for-profit world where, if you're going to donate money, someone's going to pick me or you. So I have to set myself apart from you, or you have to set yourself apart from me. You need to give them something back for what they gave to you, in some way, shape, or form. And for you, you partnered with one specific charity. And I think that's an awesome thing. You see people jumping around and things like that. But I think that knowing where your money came from or was going to after they donated to you, and you had a very specific story that went along with it. And that helps as well. So
it definitely resonates, and look, a lot of my friends are involved with charities, and they do it in different ways. But all these guys have always said to me, they're like, Eric, the amount, you don't understand, right? The amount of time, like what you do is like way beyond what I do. And these are guys that do stuff for really big charities.
Yeah.
They donate lots of money. They're like, but I just write a check.
It's just that easy.
You're like, it's like another job.
Yep.
So anyway, so I think when people see that kind of effort, they want to help you in some way.
No, that's awesome. Listen, if I knew about it at the time, I would have been out there running with you, because that's just what I would have done.
Not doing it again. So.
Not doing it. Damn. Sure, not for firefighter, not for profit, fitness, running.
But
so the first year.
Yep. So 48 hours in the park, 200 miles, and it was funny. I remember the first loop. And remember the goal, we're like, we got to get media. We had sent everything. We had a PR agency. Like, we did all the right things to try to get the attention. Yep. And everyone's like, yeah, we don't know if we're going to have coverage. And it depends. If there's like some big event going on, no one's coming out to see this idiot run around in circles, right?
Yep.
So we're on the first loop. We are about to go up Harlem Hill. And this woman who, she was with the MRF, she's not anymore, but Alicia, her phone rings, right? And she looks, she's like, I don't know that number. And I'm like, What's the area code? She's like, it's a 212. I'm like, maybe it's ABC. I don't know, because
Yeah,
I never answer my phone when I don't know the number either.
sure.
But sure enough, she answers the phone and it's ABC. And they're like, we're sending out Amy Freeze, to cover what you're doing.
That's awesome.
So that's how we met. And that was huge for us. So, first year we got the coverage we wanted. Mary Wittenberg ended up coming out to the park. And, I remember, I'm trying to remember the story now. Oh, so when she left, right? So Mary Wittenberg comes out. We were setting up. She's like, what is
Let some folks know who she is, who may not.
So Mary Wittenberg was the president and I think CEO of the New York Roadrunners.
And they put on the marathon pretty much. And New York Roadrunners do the marathon. So.
Among many other events in the city. So she came out when we were setting up and she's like, what's going on here and why don't I know about it?
Whoops.
and I was already running, and so they told her what was going on. She said, that's incredible. She came out later to meet me and chat, and she was on her Elliptigo.
Oh, okay.
Just alongside us for a little while. Anyway, later that night, this guy shows up in the park, and he's like, excuse me, are you Eric Gelber? And I said, yes, I am. And he said, my name's John Ledger, not Legend. And I'm the president and CEO of T-Mobile. And I just wanted to come out. And so he was on the board, or used to be on the board of the New York Roadrunners. Mary had called him like, you got to come see what this guy's doing. And he ended up, and he said, I just wanted to come out and shake your hand and let you know that I'm going to donate $5,000.
That's awesome. That's it.
So those are the kind of things, and he became a friend and big supporter of our runs over the years. And, so things like that,
that's what gets you going. And that's what gets you to keep running. You know what I mean? Like that had to be just a spiritual boost for you as well, aside from the monetary boost.
Yeah. What became even, bigger is when he showed up in the middle of the night. It was pouring rain, and he showed up in a pedicab. And he came out to let us know, we had raised about $80,000 at that point, including his 5. Okay. And he said, I just want you to know, I want you to reach your goal. And whatever you're short when you're done running, I will write the check.
That's awesome.
So we raised like another $5,000 or something through the rest of the run, but he actually donated $20,000 that year. We ended up, and then even after that, more money started coming in, but I did not. So we were very successful in the fundraising aspect, but I did not finish the 200 miles.
How far did you get that year?
About 165.
Okay.
So I think it was 27 loops. And for me, even though we raised all this money and I was very proud of that, I still felt like I had failed because that's just the way I am.
Set a goal. Yeah, I got you.
I had a goal and it didn't happen.
Yep.
So, I was immediately thinking about the next year.
Let's go again.
Yeah. There was no question.
What time of year is this? You do it in the fall? You did it?
It was in September.
Okay.
Yeah, we did it like, middle of September. My feeling, there was still a risk it could be hot, but it probably wouldn't be too cold.
Yeah. That's like the best time.
Yeah. So, we got relatively lucky, except every single year it rained at night. Yeah, it's just, and that's when it's cold and raining, and especially at night, because I really slow down in the wee hours of the morning and I walk a lot. Yep. And I get kind of delirious. So it gets pretty cold when you're not moving at a running pace.
You just want the sun to come back out. Like, where is the sun?
All I want is just the sun.
I did a go ruck in Manhattan for 9/11, and it was a great time. But we were in Central Park and watched the sunrise, and I just remember that sun coming up, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the best sunrise ever. As I'm like stinky, muddy, disgusting with all these people. But so the sun coming up had to be a big deal.
Yeah, the sun is, it's amazing, you know. As soon as that light comes, it just, and I'm not a doctor, obviously, but or scientist, but I assume there's some chemical something, right? When it gets dark, and especially when it got later into, like, I literally just wanted to fall asleep on my feet, you know,
Yep.
just so tired. I'm like, I feel like I got to sleep. But when the sun comes up, didn't matter how tired I was 5 minutes before, and not like I'm not exhausted, but I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I feel better.
I think it's something that I learned to appreciate as a runner is you run for the sun. Like if there's shade on one side, unless it's, 105 degrees and bad water type thing. But, like when you're out in those fall runs or the winter runs, like if you can get sun on you, you can keep going. It's a big morale booster for yourself.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
So that was year one, you didn't make it. So now year two comes.
Year two, and we didn't really change our strategy. I didn't change nutrition. I didn't change a whole lot.
Okay.
The only thing I did change is I did not set a time limit. And
okay.
So no 48 hours. I'm going to just go until I finish, and, like that.
See what happens. Yeah, it's going to be this. This is going to be what's going to make it happen.
How long it's going to take. And, I don't even remember when the wheels really came. I mean, it was a real shit show that year. And when it was just blisters and just all the normal stuff, but I kept having trouble getting my mind straight. And then, when you start to get when your body starts to go awry, right, which is going to happen, whether it's muscles cramping, blisters, you name it, nausea, it gets really hard to get past that when your mind's not strong. So it just started taking me forever to get around the park. And you start to focus on what's wrong instead of how to get it right. So I'm like, how can I can't go anymore. My leg hurts too much.
Yep.
Right. It was cramping up. And on the last, so I didn't finish, right, again. We made it, it was about 176 miles. So we got partway around on the last loop, and then I'm like, I need to go. I sat in a cooler to try to get everything, to see if I could get the muscle soreness to go away, whatever. Nothing I tried worked, and we ended up pulling the plug, but it took, the last couple miles, I mean, it was taking me, 2 hours to go a mile. I'd walk 100 yards and then lay down. And I just kept laying down on the side of the road in the park.
You're not going to get back up after that. At some point you knew it wasn't going to happen, right?
Yep. Well, Tani and I talked to each other, and they talk about this and it's in the film. And, at some point you just got to just say, all right, we'll just have to come back and try again. This is not the year.
And now your wife is your coach pretty much. She for these events, she has the ability to say you're done. Right?
She's my crew chief, right? So she's in charge of everything that revolves around, getting me through this safely, and managing our crew. There's always people out there with me.
Yep.
And sometimes it might only be one or two people. But there's always somebody who knows what I need and what I want, and they have my nutrition and my fluid and communication, with sort of base camp.
Yep.
And so Tani's responsible for all of that.
And you can see that too, like you said in the film, like that. It's a serious gig. You know what I mean?
I feel like the film's more about her than it is about me.
So I'm interviewing the wrong person on the podcast,
right,
is what you're essentially saying.
You see all the shit going on that she's dealing with,
I would not want her job in the least bit of that. So,
yeah.
So that was year two. You made it to 176 and just pulled the plug, but you still decided to go again.
But we raised that year. What did we raise that year? 200 and
oh my God,
10 or 15,000, I think it was, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it was like, so again, I was very proud of all that, right? Everything we had done, but I still am like, I couldn't get over the fact that I hadn't completed what I set out to do, and you tell a lot of people you're going to do this, and I expect to do it. And of course, everyone tells me I'm crazy. They're like, Eric, nobody gives a shit whether you make it or not.
You're good. You're good. Just stop.
It's not about that. Yeah, a lot of people want. One guy donated 10 grand. I think it was the second year, it's either the first or second year, to get me to stop. He did. I didn't stop.
Complete stranger though? Complete stranger? A complete stranger?
I known him because he had come out to support me, but that's
okay.
how I met him.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah. So there was a third year. I took 2015 off, not from I went and ran Badwater again. And it was interesting, when I did Badwater, our fundraising fell off by about 30%, maybe 35%. Still a ton of money. I mean, it's still like 150 grand, but that's the difference, right? When you're running somewhere where no one can be, as opposed to doing an event where everybody is, where the money is, and they can touch it and feel it, it has a much bigger impact.
So were you getting a lot of like walk-up donations while that was going on?
Not as many as you would think, but it's not, I don't think it's about that. It's about the people that are donating year in and year out, when they can come out and be a part of it.
Yes.
Right? A lot of times somebody donates, and then when they come out and run, and then they see what I'm going through, they write another check.
Yeah, very much.
Like, oh, that wasn't enough, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so 2016, and that's when the Tribeca Film and Resonant Pictures crews came out and to document this, and it was the same thing as the second year. 200 miles was the goal. This year we were trying to raise $250,000, and so through all these years, right, I had obviously there's physical things that come up. So I had surgery on my foot, I had hernia surgery, and then 10 months before the 2016 run, I had labrum repair on my hip.
Oh my gosh.
So soft tissue repair is a tough one to come back from, and so what I was talking about before, about when you asked about mental versus physical. So here I am 10 months out. Everyone's like, are you going to cancel the event? I said, well, I'm going to wait and see. Let's see what happens. So the day after the surgery, I'm on a bike, and with doctor's permission, he's like, just a couple minutes, just trying to, I can't barely get my leg around. Like I had to put the seat up so high, so
it wouldn't move.
So I couldn't get the compression in my hip.
Yep. And
so I went from that to, and I was supposed to, as a training run, I always laugh when I say this shit, but I was supposed to do the Lake Placid Ironman in July, and I hadn't even started training, when June hit, because so everything was still, I was just rehabbing.
Yeah.
And very little stuff, like a little bit of running, biking, some endurance stuff, like classes, but no real running. And I'm like, all right, obviously I can't do the Ironman, but I now only had like 2.5 months or 3 months to train
to run
200 miles.
Yeah.
And so I never ran more than 50 miles in a week. My longest run was like 20 miles, maybe 20, was there a longer one?
I'll believe you. It's okay.
I might have had it 125 or 130, but I can't remember. No back-to-backs.
Yep.
I was just I just wanted to get used to running, for a few hours. And I'm like, I'm just going to focus after that. It's just all mental. Because no matter how much training I had done, I knew that I was going to be in so much pain when it came time for no matter what.
It was coming. You knew it was coming.
It was coming. And, the only difference when I look back is it came a lot sooner.
When do you think it came then? Now that you said that.
Real pain was the first night. I mean, I was already, but that year we had, so I think there were a couple of things. One, not training as much, as hard, and beating myself up.
Yep.
I really felt good going in. And I was mentally confident, even though my body, who knew what was going to happen. But I think I was fresh, so that was good. And the other thing that we did is usually the years prior, I would always, I wouldn't take a break until I was like, I would have like a 4 hour loop, which 6 miles in 4 hours, or 3.5 hours. And that's when I would take a break. I'm like, all right, now it's time. And this year we decided to do proactive 20-minute naps.
Okay.
And it just,
That saved you. That got you through, yeah.
I think you need a nap now. Whatever. So the first time I went to take a nap, I couldn't fall asleep. So she's like, all right, never mind, get up and go. And so there was no nap there, but I ended up taking 5 20-minute naps, somewhat scheduled. And, I never had a loop that was, much over 2 hours. So most of them were under that, but then I would always stop when I got back to just hydrate and sometimes just sit down for a minute. Sometimes to sit down and just feel no pain for a few minutes.
It's always nice. Getting back up had to be the worst. That's the only thing I'm thinking about in my head is actually getting out of that nap and going back to running.
Yep. But anyway, so just to the end of that, we finished. Took just under 60 hours, and I was so pumped. And we raised $320,000 that year.
That is amazing. You can see too in the documentary the flooding of emotions, and they build up the documentary. The film crew does a really good job of building up to that, and it's going to happen. And you can see everyone on your team was excited, that you were able to do it. So it's crazy. And I think the crazier thing is something you told me a few weeks ago when we were on the phone is since then, how much have you run?
Oh, I mean, I don't want to say I haven't run at all. A year after that, I ran New York City again. That was it was so brutal. It was so brutal. It took over
those 26.2 miles or so.
It was so brutal. I was so out of shape and not trained. And I did a half marathon last year, but just like went out and ran them, I wasn't like training for them. Like I still keep in shape, but I haven't really run. It started because of injuries. Again, as you can imagine. So I've got herniated discs, 3 in my neck, 3 in my back. And it seems to really get ramp up when I run too much. So I never say never, but I think those days are probably gone for me. So
I think you've done enough though. I think you've done enough when it comes to running. Like I think you qualify as being like on a different level. You don't have to do it anymore if that's what.
But we still have an event, so I'm sure we'll talk about that. But
you're still going to have another event, did I hear?
Yeah, but I don't know if we talked about this. So
I don't think we did. This is a surprise to me. So
so a year after, so in 2017, the documentary 200 Miles came out.
And I highly recommend everyone go on Prime and watch it. You all have plenty of time. I know
exactly. It's only 50 minutes too. So.
Tiger King is amazing. You can stop between episodes 3 and 4 and go watch 200 Miles. Carol Baskin is not in that documentary, though. I'm sorry.
So the year after that, we decided to start an event for other people to run.
Okay.
And, we wanted to keep this thing that we had built going, but it wasn't something that I could keep doing. Number one, no reason to run in the park again because we did that. So when I started to think about it, I'm like, that just means I got to get bigger. Right? I got to do longer. And what's that going to look like? Next thing you know, I'm going to be running across the country, and I can't.
Whatever. Be Forrest Gump.
For most of reasons, that's just not a good idea.
Yep.
So we came up with the idea of a 12-hour endurance run and relay, which we got permitted for on Randall's Island.
Okay.
So we've done it 2 years now. We did it in 2018, 2019. It's the first Saturday in October.
Okay.
And the first 2 years, it was strictly a 12-hour race. You could run it solo, or you could run it with a relay team of up to 10 people.
Okay.
It's a beautiful course, really. 4 miles out and back, all on the water. Our start-finish area is right between the Golf Center and Icon Stadium.
That's where my Go Ruck started.
Okay, that's funny.
It was not beautiful.
I was going to say that I'm sure there was nothing beautiful about what they did to you. But
That night, oh, you there? Oh no.
yeah.
There was nothing beautiful in the welcome party of the Go Ruck Challenge on
Sure.
Randall's Island at 10 o'clock.
So it's been a great event the last 2 years. We raised almost $500,000 in those 2 years. So still, keeping it going pretty good. But, we really wanted to try to broaden the attractiveness of the event.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about running for 12 hours, even if it's a relay and you're not running the whole time, it's hard for some people to, number one, to spend a whole day out there is a big commitment. Kids have sports and, stuff.
Busy people.
It's a lot. So what we did this year, we're still going to have the 12-hour event, but we've added 2 other events to it. So it's going to be, we have a half marathon distance and we have a marathon distance. And also our course will be certified. So it'll be a Boston qualifier for the marathon.
Oh, that's a good place to qualify. It's nice and flat there.
It's flat and it's a loop. It's really easy to manage yourself.
Yeah.
If you're out there, a really fast course, chip timing, all that stuff. So we're really, really excited this year. It's October 3rd this year. We changed the name slightly. It's now called the Journey Race Series. And it's October 3rd on Randall's Island. You can go to the MMRF events website to find the link. Our website's not up yet, so I'll have to give you that info once it's redone.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we'll have it all in the show notes for sure. Maybe I'll have to talk to Amy. Maybe we can get a team together. I may know a few people who like to run.
Well, it would be great to get some fire department guys out there. Maybe we had a guy. Tim Clark.
No.
He's a New York firefighter, and he came out and ran on Amy's team one year. He's he wins all of the, I think he won the fire department, police department,
the challenge one. Yeah.
The marathon and stuff. Super fast, but it'd be great. Maybe we get a Jersey team and a New York team.
Yeah, we could do something. I may know some people, let's say. I don't know. I gotta find, if you got the guy who's winning every year for the FDNY though, I really gotta find a ringer to bring in.
You gotta get one ringer this year.
Yeah, I can't let that happen if I bring a team. So we'll have to see. But it's awesome because basically you've kind of reinvented yourself. I don't want to say reinvented yourself, but you're continuing the mission and you're doing it in different ways. And that's what we started talking about before this even started, or we started recording, was just with what's going on right now with COVID-19 and everybody kind of having to reinvent themselves. And I think it's a big thing for the size up, where people think, well, you're the running guy, you're always going to run, but you're not. You're doing all these other things because if you always ran in Central Park, eventually no one's going to care anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a big part of looking at what you're doing. And you did all these amazing things, but you still want to do more.
Yep. And I think, look, that's, first of all, my commitment to this, fight is unwavering. So, I have a lot of friends that still have the disease and are fighting. And, we've lost quite a few friends. We've lost a couple this year. It's really an unfortunate thing, but, for all the people that are still here, we just want to keep fighting for them. About sort of changing and sort of sidestepping when you run into these obstacles, right? You have to be willing and able to change just to continue sometimes, Yes. And for me, the running was just getting, and I didn't even really see it clearly. I see it a lot more clearly now. At the time, I was very frustrated for a couple of years. I mean, even if it wasn't to run an event, all I wanted to do was I wanted to get back to running. So after a couple of years, I, finally was able to, first of all, the event on Randall's Island became my passion. So I was able to get over the, what am I doing now? Because I'm not running, and that's what I'm doing, right? Yep. And believe me, that's a full-time job, right? Full-time job. I mean, the week after that event is over, we are on a phone call. What do we do wrong? What do we do right? And, trying to make it better.
What got me into this whole I don't know, it got me into running for sure was being part of a 5K committee for a firefighter that got killed in my department. His daughter started a 5K.
Okay.
And we did that for 10 years. And look, it was like the little local 5K, right? Like that's what it was. But it was work. Every month there was something new to come up for the local 5K. So I can only imagine with what you have going on, what that is. But it's good work and it's fulfilling work.
Yep.
Like that taught me so much about giving back, so much more than I thought I knew a lot about it before, but something like that did. And as things got bigger, jumping into 555, I mean, the bigger we get, the more work it is. And I'm really fortunate. I know you have a great team with you, and I have a great team with me doing it. You can't do it by yourself because it is a full-time job and you're not getting paid for it. You know what I mean? Like, there are people that are, but I know I'm not.
I have to say, I feel, and it's not financial payment, but, we get paid.
Yep, for sure.
It's very, very rewarding. And, I'm sure same for you, right? When somebody comes up and shakes your hand or gives you a hug and says, thank you.
Unbelievable.
All right, I'm coming back.
Yeah, I'm in. I say, when my wife always says, everybody on the team says, my wife sees it for sure, when we travel for 555, whether it be to a convention or to go give equipment away, when you come back, you're so like, I could break through walls with just run through them. You know what I mean? Like, and that's it. It's those thank yous that do it. And my hope is now with everything that's going on, people start to see that, that we're going back to simpler times. I don't know. I live in a really small town here in Jersey, and there have been more people, my poor dog, staring at the door is like, where are all these people coming from in our little cul-de-sac? Why are they outside? She can't figure it out. When I'm outside with the boys, I say hi to them and they say hi to me, like it's just that good feeling.
Yeah. That's, I don't even know how to describe what's happening right now. I mean, it's just very, very strange. And, I know we're all trying to make the best of it and help each other through it. And, we started, after, it was probably the first week, and we were already starting to get a little nutty. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I got you, man. I got you.
I can't believe, like, I gotta just sit around doing nothing all day again. And then we're like, all right, let's start putting together like a plan, right? What are we gonna do every day? And not like this rigorous schedule of things, but every day we want to work out. Every day we want to FaceTime with at least one friend, right? We're going to call our family, and we're going to go outside, and we're going to eat, but right.
No.
Okay.
It's a big deal. I got you.
And then, 4:00 is happy hour. Right? So, just by committing to ourselves, and one project every day, one house project every day.
Yep.
So that's what we do. Every day we get up and whatever. Sometimes Tani's in this room that I'm sitting in now doing, a class on Zoom through some of the, people she does either yoga with or some other class.
The resources out there right now are amazing. Amazing.
It's amazing. There's some people that are out there doing it for free. Yep. Some are just like trying to pay their bills, and they're like, look, just give me $10, whatever it is. But tons and tons of options to help motivate you to get, through a workout. Excuse me. So working out, going outside, being social.
Yeah.
It's huge. And then obviously there's work during the week, but that's not so much right now.
And so I consider, in a way, we talked, I worked the other night and we talked about this, the firehouse. We have a little backyard area, so we're all socially distanced away except for the picture. And where my firehouse isn't a bad neighborhood, but it's not the best neighborhood. So our neighbors were blasting some loud music, and it was pretty good. Some good late 90s rap music is always a good thing. But we were saying how, we're sort of fortunate. We're on the front lines of this thing, I guess, and we're out there dealing with it, but we get to see each other. We get to come to work and still do this. Think in another 2 weeks, you'll be out of the office for 4 or 5 weeks by that point.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to do these things to keep yourself moving. It's very easy now to stop. And I think it's a big deal. And you were doing stuff on your social media prior to all this. So anyone that's going to follow you after this, don't think what Eric's doing is brand new. He's been putting his workouts out there and what he's doing in his garage gym, way more religious than I do. I can tell you that much, at least. But it's been awesome. But now you see so many people doing that. There's almost no excuse right now to not be doing yoga or fitness, body. I mean, professional trainers. I know Jillian Michaels is doing all kinds of free stuff that I've seen.
I think the guy who invented is it Horton? The guy who did
Tony Horton
and trying to Peloton's offering their app for free for 3 months, but you gotta leave a credit card with them though.
And you got to get the Peloton
canceled probably. But there's a lot of companies.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch everyone step up, and I think that's the silver lining to all this. As much badness is going on, as much strangeness, as much I don't know, I can still go find something. I can watch a Dave Matthews Band or not Dave Matthews Band, but Dave Matthews on whatever night, Thursday night, was playing his guitar. And did you watch that?
No, I forgot.
It was really good. At one point, he had to change guitars, and he's like, normally my friend Walt does this for me. He's like, I have to do it for myself right now. Like, this is weird. But you see these things, and that's kind of something that you did with the run even prior to all this. You gave a lot of people hope. You gave a lot of people strength, people you don't even know you were helping. The money you raised went to things to help them. And it's one of those things that if we get more people like you in society through this, then we're going to come out better.
There's a lot of people out there now that are, trying to do their part. And, even if that part is just staying in your house.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it right now, right? Like, and I think, I guess we're on, I can't even, the date, I know it's Sunday right now, but like, how long this has been going on or whatever, but I think most people are getting it now. You know what I mean? Like that's what you can do to do your part, go and grab food and come back home. Don't, and we're where we are with New York and New Jersey, we're right now in the epicenter. But it's spreading, you know what I mean? And there's no amount of laws that are going to stop people from other states transferring it. That's already happened.
Yeah. But hopefully, and I don't know when the, real peak will be, but hopefully we're not far from that. And, the good news is when you look at, I guess, China in particular, there is an end.
Yep.
Right. We will come out of this, and it's just going to take some time. And look, you know what? And I keep saying this too to a lot of my friends and family. I feel just extremely fortunate. There's a lot of people out there that are struggling in a really, really big way, and they're trying to figure out, how they're going to pay rent or how they're going to feed their kids or, whatever. Just they're not making any money and they got nothing in the bank. So, there are people out there. I know my buddy Tommy, he owns a couple restaurants here in Mount Kisco, and they're taking donations. I'll give you the link later for the show notes. I forget the name of the organization that he teamed up with, but so he is sending free meals to those who can't afford, number one, in the town in Mount Kisco, right near us, and also to all those on the front line, from first responders to the Northern Westchester Hospital. I know I saw him; he was over there today dropping off. I don't even know; it must look like 100 meals.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So.
And I think that's another big thing too, where what you did was a local event, but it was on a national level. Where now we're seeing this local to local thing. We have the same thing where I work, the city I work in. We have a level 1 trauma center. We have another hospital in our city. We have a huge, I don't want to say huge, but we have a lot of restaurants, let's say, because we have Rutgers University there, and we're seeing all of this local taking care of local. I know we have a great steakhouse. It's called Steakhouse 85. And I just saw that they're doing a Tuesday dinner for all food industry workers.
Oh, nice.
So, anyone who's not at work right now, or even if they are still at work, because a lot of the businesses they're going to do something just for them that night. We had somebody drop off. We had 50 falafels dropped off at my firehouse the other day from our local falafel shop,
You guys,
And we're trying to do the same. We're trying to order out, like we order out on the weekends here at home and at work. We've been, I think the guys are ordering out again Tuesday night. I'm off. I'm on a vacation day this week, but we're trying to do that just to help these folks out. And I think if we can do that, if everybody can focus local, that's going to be a big deal to get us through. And it's just like that. And just like you're doing, what you're putting out on your Instagram, those workouts and things like, what's the pot workout? I didn't watch it all, but I saw the pot and I kind of stopped. And
obviously there was a little play on words.
I gotcha. I saw that and I'm like, this could be interesting.
So what I've been trying to do is it's been quite a while, probably for the last, I don't know, couple years, I think, on a pretty regular basis. I try to just put the workouts that I do every morning because, typically when things are normal, I'm up at like 4:30 in the morning. So by the time I'm done with my workout, I can have my post out there for people that are maybe just getting up.
Yep.
And, the point isn't to brag about what I'm doing. It's just to say, hey, you can do something, right? Here's what I did. And, people have told me over the years when I first started doing it, they're like, I love seeing your workouts. It makes me want to get off my ass and do something.
Yep.
Right. So
you never know who you're going to inspire.
That's all I need is one person to tell me that. And so now I haven't stopped. Right.
Shocking. I would have never guessed that from you at all, ever.
So when this all started happening and everyone's stuck at home, I had some people reach out and say, what can I do at home? Like, I can't get to the gym. So how do I work out at home? So I'm going to start posting either, different movements and exercises that you can do with no equipment.
Yep.
And then sort of build, here's a repertoire of different exercises. And now you can start piecing those together into workouts. So this morning when I said the pot workout, basically what it was is it was 4 exercises. So I took one of our pots, right? So instead of having
a cooking pot.
Yes, cooking pot. Instead of having like a Bosu ball, or a step that you would do like side lunges over,
okay,
you can use the pot. So you put your foot, right? You can do toe taps on the pot.
Yeah.
You can do side lunges over the pot. And then we threw in like push-ups and air squats. Like just do sets of those and keep going. And that's a workout. Do that for 30 minutes.
That's not going to be fun. I've done workouts just like that, not with a pot, but if you don't have anything, if you're stuck in an apartment, there you go. You have something, I've never thought about using a pot before. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's been, what else did I used the pot for something else the other day. I can't remember. But I used you can use a basketball,
yep,
right? If you don't have a medicine ball, so you use that for different kinds of push-ups and balancing, and I try to show people like good alternatives to all these exercises. So if you don't work out all the time or you never have, I try to show modifications for the movements where it's possible, so anybody can do it.
And that's a huge thing it's scaling. You're scaling an exercise, you're scaling reps to make it so anyone can do that. And people don't always face that. They don't always think that, I can't do push-ups, so do them from your knees. There's nothing wrong with a good push-up from your knee. And it could actually be as taxing.
If you can't get down on the floor, do it against the wall.
Yeah, there you go. That's your first scale for a push-up is against the wall. You know what I mean?
To the table, and then you work to the chair, and then you work to your knees, and
that's it. And you could be doing it. So when you're at home right now, you could be doing these things. You see so many people out running and walking. At least I know where I am.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And now that the weather is breaking, I keep thinking, I'm like, God, imagine if this was December, like on the East Coast, and it's just generally depressing.
It's getting lighter out longer, at least,
Yep, you can get out at night now. We kind of had a rainy weekend, but whatever, we'll survive.
Yep.
But I think that's awesome what you're putting out there, for sure.
Thank you.
And as we got to kind of start to wrap up now, because we're getting to that hour mark of things, where you're I don't know if you're more famous than Amy Freeze, because you have a documentary. Amy Freeze does not have a documentary out on her, so you may be the most famous guest. It's only
Wasn't she in a movie?
She was in the movie, but for like a hot second. And the movie was a, I don't know, that was like a real movie. It wasn't a Netflix movie, right? It was in the movies, I think.
Yeah,
but
I can't remember where it was, but
I don't know. I don't know. The judge will be out. If you're listening to this, who's more famous, Amy Freeze or Eric Gelber and his 200-mile documentary, which you can catch on Prime? Where else can everybody find you aside from Prime?
Instagram and Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really tweet.
I
So
don't understand Twitter either. It's okay.
it's at Just a Mile to Go. So Just a Mile to Go on Instagram and Facebook. I try to, post whatever workouts, some, hopefully motivating thoughts, and that's all. Always available to chat.
If they want to donate, because you can still donate to Eric's the foundation that he runs for and does all these things. How do they do that?
So if you go to my Instagram page and go in my bio, there's a link in there. We're a little behind for obvious reasons right now. So once our website is up, I'll get that to you. Hopefully that'll be soon.
And of course, obviously, as we've talked about, with everything going on right now, even though we both do kind of work for not-for-profits, keep it local now. I think that's definitely a big thing. There's still problems. There's still going to be people that the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation is going to be helping, because they're still going to be going through problems. But now one of the best things you can do too is keep those donations local, I think. And
keep in mind, all these charities like the MMRF, they have been canceling events left and right. So, the MMRF has this 5K program where they have 5Ks all over the country. So that almost every weekend, there's a 5K where, they might raise, a couple $100,000. That's not happening now. So, any help, you can go to the mmrf.org and donate directly, if you can't find the link on any of my pages, but, whatever charity it is, they all need our help right now.
Yeah, those are, I didn't even think about those ramifications down the road.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? For not-for-profits everywhere that are doing these events every weekend, and that count on that money.
Yep. They're just getting crushed right now. So we got to try to help them out. And
for
also
all the people,
go sign up for my event too.
Because that's still happening in October.
Yes.
I'm gonna talk to Amy. That's it. We're gonna defer that to Amy Freeze and see. Right. If she gets behind it, I'm definitely in. If not, you could probably convince me to just do it anyway. But it's awesome, man. Well, it was great having you here for a happy hour. Hopefully our first Zoom size up actually works out.
I hope it goes well. I really appreciate you having me, and I appreciate all that you do charity-wise, saving people's lives wise.
All those wise. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. Thank you all for listening. Remember, you can check us out on Instagram. It's at _size_up. We are now on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And also don't forget to check out our partner podcast, National Fire Radio and Rush the Bus. Obviously, with Rush the Bus right now and with what's going on in the New York City area, Pete and Julie are both paramedics that work in New York City, and they are very much so on the front line. So Rush the Bus is not necessarily on hold, but they're just a little busy right now, and we support them as much as we can. So for all you know, I may be hosting an episode of Rush the Bus coming up, bringing back my old paramedic days and such, and talking about some things. But we want to keep everybody out there, healthcare workers, restaurant workers, firefighters, police, military, now that our National Guard's been called up, in our minds during this time, and just kind of sticking with it all. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.